Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast Special Edition series where we go over each and every 2024 NCAA Men's College Basketball Conference Tournament. This will be the 27th of 32 shows, as this will focus on the SEC Tournament, which will be held at the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. First round begin Wednesday, March 13th. Second round Thursday, March 14th. Quarterfinals Friday, March 15th. Semifinals Saturday, March 16th. And the championship will be on Sunday, March 17th on St. Patrick's Day, which will be a lot of fun. We'll go over the seedings. Then we will do the bracket and then the miscellaneous stuff. So, your number one seed in this tournament, 24-7 overall, 14-4 in conference play, number 5 in the country, the Tennessee Volunteers. Your 2 seed, 23-8 overall, 13-5 in conference play, number 9 in the country, the Kentucky Wildcats. Your number 3 seed, 21-10 overall, 13-5 in conference play, 19 in the country, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Your 4 seed, 24-7 overall, 13-5 in conference play, 12th in the country, the Auburn Tigers. Your 5 seed, 25-6 overall, 13-5 in conference play, 15th in the country, the South Carolina Gamecocks. Your 6 seed, 21-10 overall, 11-7 in conference play, the Florida Gators. Your 7 seed, 18-13 overall, 9-9 in conference play, the Texas A&M Aggies. Your 8 seed, 17-14 overall, 9-9 in conference play, the LSU Tigers. Your 9 seed, 19-12 overall, 8-10 in conference play, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Your 10 seed, 20-11 overall, 7-11 in conference play, the Ole Miss Rebels. Your 11 seed, 16-15 overall, 6-12 in conference play, the Georgia Bulldogs. Your 12 seed, 15-16 overall, 6-12 in conference play, the Arkansas Razorbacks. Your 13 seed, 9-22 overall, 4-14 in conference play, the Vanderbilt Commodores. And your 14 seed, 8-23 overall, 0-18 in conference play, the Missouri Tigers. So, first round will get underway 6:30 Central, or 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern, SEC Network on Wednesday, March 13th. 13 seed Vanderbilt, 12 seed Arkansas. Arkansas has been a massive underachiever this year relative to expectations. Tremont Mark averaging over 16 a game. Vandy's just a joke. They have 3 guys averaging double figures a game. My line here is Arkansas 7.7, total 150, and the 20th, so I'm going to advance the Razorbacks. In the second of 2 first-round games, 14 seed Missouri, 11 seed Georgia. Georgia was flirting with making the tournament earlier in the year, and then they kind of came crashing down. They have 2 good players in Noah Thompson and Jabari Abdur-Rahim. My number here is Georgia 7.3, total 149 and 9/20, and Mizzou is just really bad. They do have a good scorer, though, and Sean East the second. Maybe he keeps them in the game, but I'm going to advance Georgia. Second round, Thursday, March 14th. First of 4, 19 Mississippi State, 8 seed LSU. Miss State was flirting with the at-large bid, but they kind of choked it away. They have 2 good players, Josh Hubbard, and then Tolu Smith, who was injured earlier in the year, averaging over 16 a game. LSU, a really decent conference play. They're a deep team. One of their better players, Jalen Cook, got hurt. Jordan Wright over 15 a game for them. I project Miss State 2.3 total 148 and 3/10, so I'm going to advance Miss State. Second of 4 second round games, 12 seed Arkansas, 5 seed South Carolina. South Carolina, what a great story. I think that Lamont Paris has been doing a fabulous job with this team. They're a well-balanced team led by Mickey Jackson and B.J. Mack. I project South Carolina 4.9, so I'm going to advance the Gamecocks. round games. 10 seed Ole Miss, 7 seed Texas A&M. Ole Miss has a couple of really good scores, including Matthew Morrell averaging over 16 a game. And then A&M, I don't think they're going to make it an at-large, but they have the best guy on the court in this spot, and Wade Taylor IV, averaging 18 a game. And I project Texas by 2, total 145 and 17-20, so I'm going to have them advance. And the last of 4 second-round games, 11 seed Georgia, 6 seed Florida. Florida's going to probably make it. They have some talent led by Walter Clayton Jr. I project the Gators 6.6, so I'm going to advance Florida. Quarterfinals on March 15th, that's a Friday. 9 seed Mississippi State, 1 seed Tennessee. Tennessee, easily the best team in the conference, led by Dalton Knecht, averaging over 21 a game, almost 5 boards, almost 2 assists. I project Tennessee 8.25, so I'm going to advance the Vols. Second of 4 quarterfinal games, 5 seed South Carolina, 4 seed Auburn. Auburn's a good team, led by Johnny Broome. South Carolina, well-balanced, of course, but I think Auburn's more talented. I have them projected 1.9, so I'm going to advance Auburn. Third of 4 quarterfinal games, 7 seed Texas A&M, 2 seed Kentucky. Kentucky's awesome, led by Reed Sheppard and Antonio Reeves, averaging over 20 a game. So this is a loaded Kentucky team, I think. I have them projected 5.6 over A&M, so I'm going to advance them. And the last of 4 quarterfinal games, 6 seed Florida, 3 seed Alabama. Bama came along after a shaky non-con. Mark Sears is a really good player, averaging over 20 a game. I project Bama 2.4 over Florida, so I'm going to advance the Tide. Semifinals on Saturday, March 16th. 4 seed Auburn, 1 seed Tennessee. Really good game. Knecht is the best guy on the court. I project Tennessee only 2.3, so I'm going to advance Tennessee. The other semifinal game, 3 seed Alabama, 2 seed Kentucky. You could make a case best guy on the court for Sears. You could argue Reeves, and you could argue Sheppard. I project Kentucky 1.3 over Alabama, so I'm going to advance the Wildcats. I think the Wildcats are just deeper. And in the conference championship game on St. Patrick's Day on ESPN at 1 o'clock Eastern, 2 seed Kentucky, 1 seed Tennessee. Again, same thing. Reeves, Sheppard, Rob Dillingham on one side. And then on Tennessee, you have Knecht, you have Jonas Adu, and you have Zakai Ziegler. Those are all really good players. Knecht has been the best guy all season. He's going to be the SEC Player of the Year. I project Tennessee 1.8 over Kentucky. So therefore, I have the Tennessee Volunteers winning the 2024 SEC Tournament as they make a case, a compelling case to be the final 1 seed. But the question is, do they get it? I'm going to say no. But they have a chance. I just think that Carolina gets it because Carolina beat Tennessee head-to-head earlier in the year. So I think Tennessee will be the number 5 overall seed, the top 2 seed, and they'll be in the South region and be in the Houston bracket, which would be pretty cool. Kentucky, I think, will be a 4. Alabama, I think, will be a little bit lower because of the non-con was bad. I think they're either going to be the 8-9 game or maybe they'll be a 7. So, they lost to Ohio State. They lost to Clemson, who's going to be in. They lost to Purdue. Can't fault them there. Can't fault them losing to Creighton. They lost to Arizona. Can't fault them there. They have a win over South Carolina. They lost at Tennessee. They beat Auburn at home. They beat Georgia. They lost to Auburn later in the year. They beat A&M. They beat Florida at home. And then they lost to Florida again. They got blown out by Kentucky. And then they lost at home to Tennessee. And then beat Arkansas. In overtime last weekend. So, Alabama, weird resume. But some of those losses, you can't fault them, like Creighton and Zona, Purdue. So I think because of that and the willingness of Nate Oates to schedule, even though it didn't result in wins, I think at gunpoint they're going to be... Oh, this is a tough one. I'm going to say an 8 seed. Auburn's going to be higher. I think Auburn will be a 4 seed. So resume, went over Miss State. They beat Ole Miss. They beat Bama. Lost to Florida. Beat South Carolina pretty good. Lost at home to Kentucky. Lost at Tennessee. Beat A&M. Beat Ole Miss when Ole Miss was ranked earlier in the year. Lost at Bama. Lost at Miss State. They lost to Appalachian State, who's not going to make the tournament probably, with them losing to James Madison. They beat Indiana. They beat USC. Turns out those two teams were overrated. Beat UNC Asheville. Beat Chattanooga. Lost to Baylor in their first game. Beat Notre Dame, who stinks. Beat St. Bonaventure, wasn't as good as we thought. And beat Virginia Tech, who's not very good. So I actually think that Auburn, with a couple wins in conference play and such, I kind of think they're going to be a 5. But if they beat Tennessee in the semis, they'll be like a 4. I'm going to say Auburn's a 5. South Carolina, I think they're going to be a lower than that. So they beat Virginia Tech. They beat DePaul. Grand Canyon, good win. They beat Notre Dame. Beat George Washington. Lost to Clemson at Clemson. Beat East Carolina. Conference play, they beat Miss State. They lost at Bama. They won at Arkansas. They have a win over Kentucky. They have a win over Tennessee, so maybe they'll have a better seed number next to their name than I think. Beat Ole Miss. Lost to Auburn, got blown out. Lost at home to LSU, not ideal. Beat Ole Miss, beat A&M. Beat Florida. They they lost to Tennessee, and then they beat Miss State. I'm going to say that South Carolina will be a 7. I think they'll have a better seed than Bama. Florida, I think, will be like a 10. I just want to do their resume real quick. Lost to Virginia. Beat Pitt, who might not make it. Beat Florida State, who stinks. They lost to Baylor, not bad. Lost to Wake, who's a bubble team. Beat East Florida. They beat Michigan, who stinks. They beat Richmond. That's a good win. Lost by 2 at home to Kentucky. Lost to Ole Miss. Lost to Tennessee. Beat Miss State. Beat Kentucky at Rupp. Lost to A&M. Beat Auburn. That's good. Lost to Bama. But then you beat Bama later on, but you lost to South Carolina. I'm going to say Florida's a 10, maybe a 9. Texas A&M, NIT. LSU, CBI. Mississippi State, NIT. Ole Miss, NIT. Georgia, CBI. So there you have it for where I think everybody will be. And I think Kmet will be the most outstanding player of the tournament. All right, who has value to win this tournament? Is Kentucky or Tennessee favorite? I'm going to say Tennessee barely over Kentucky. Ooh! How about this? Tennessee plus 175. Auburn is plus 240. Kentucky is 4-1. Alabama is 5-1. Florida is 60. South Carolina is 50. So is A&M. So is Miss State. Ole Miss is 100. LSU, Arkansas, Missouri, Vandy, Georgia, each 250. I think Kentucky 4-1's a fun one. I would put Tennessee in the mix and match with UConn and Arizona and Purdue and all those fun teams. But I gotta be honest, South Carolina has some value at 50-1. They have wins over Kentucky, Florida, Tennessee. So they already proven that they can beat some of these juggernauts in the conference. So I'd say South Carolina 50-1 has some value. You could argue even Florida at 16, but I'm going to say South Carolina has value at 50. And if there's a bid stealer in this league, maybe it's Miss State, maybe it's Ole Miss, maybe it's A&M, maybe it's one of those three teams, but I highly doubt it. The state of the coaches in the league. Rick Barnes isn't going anywhere despite the narrative that's going to be sticking with him unless if Tennessee makes a deep run in the tournament. Cal is almost certainly to be back next year after some Kentucky fans were just, disappointed is the right word. Nate Oates will probably be back. Bruce Pearl almost certainly will be back. But the guy I think that could jump to another job is Lamont Paris. He's going to be the SEC Coach of the Year. He had a great turnaround from year 1 to year 2. And he's going to make the tournament. I think they're going to be a 7 seed, as I brought up earlier. So I think the best chance to jump is Lamont Paris. I think Todd Golden's done a good job in year 2 at Florida. Buzz Williams, I think, can be the Shaka Smart of this conference where he could just bounce to another school. I mean, it could be Calipari in theory, but I don't see him doing it. Although I know Louisville and UCLA and West Virginia and Michigan, there's a possibility all 4 of those jobs are open. But he's not leaving Kentucky for any of those schools. Come on. And Cal is just going to be there for as long as he wants. Just like Bill Self at Kansas. It would have to be something really crazy for him to leave Kentucky. Matt McMahon, I think, actually did a good job with LSU this year. He'll stick around. Chris Jans, I think, has done a nice job this year, even though I don't see them in the tournament. Chris Beard, I think, did a good job in year 1 at Ole Miss. Mike White, I think, will stick around. But to me, the coach on the hottest seat is Jerry Stackhouse. 5 years there. They're bad this year. They've been bad for a while. I could see that. Dennis Gates, I think, gets a year 3. I know they're the Louisville. It's funny, there's 2 Louisvilles of the SEC this year, Vandy and Missouri. But I think Stackhouse is more likely to get. But Stackhouse was in the NIT 2 years in a row, and then COVID, the year after COVID, they were bad. So I think Stackhouse is on the hottest seat, and I think Eric Musselman will be back for year 6. They just had the year from hell. Maybe Dennis Gates is in the most trouble, but I'm going to say Stackhouse is the coach on the hottest seat in the conference. So there you have it for the SEC. Next up will be a shorter one, the SWAC.